Welcome back to Furniture Flipping Teacher. Today I'm going to show you guys how we flip a mid-century modern solid wood dresser. So first things first, we got to move this outside so that we can get to sanding. We're going to need Neiman's help on this one, so let's go ahead and put the camera down. It's time to get to sanding. We're gonna sand down to make sure that the varnish and the top coat from the wood is all sanded off before we start anything else. So I'm fairly new to the orbital sander. Usually I just use the regular one. I decided to try to give my skills a try, and so we just gotta attach this sanding disc. We're gonna use some 80 grit sandpaper today. So one of the most important tools if you are flipping furniture is a sander. It doesn't really matter what type of sander. It could be orbital, could be a regular sander. You just want to make sure that you have a sander. It's going to make it a lot easier for your flips. So generally for wooden pieces especially, you're going to need a sander. You want to get that top coat off, the varnish, that way you can start new. Is sanded. Let's get these drawers off. It is beautiful, so I will be able to fix it up by just cleaning it. I always be sure to keep my hardware in one spot while I'm flipping something. That way I don't lose anything like the screws or the handles. Okay, we've got the hardware off of the drawers, so now we're going to go ahead and take our sander and sand it down to get the raw wood. Alright, I'm going to use this little chip brush to get some of the dust that I just sanded. That way I can see the parts where I still need to get in with this detail sander and sand off. Switching up sanders, I'm going to get this detail one. This is the first time I'm using it, so bear with me. It's just going to get in the corners and more detail in the corners of the wood. Alright, so now that I am finished up using that detail sander, the next step is to use a tack cloth to get all of the dust off. So a tack cloth comes in a little baggie like this. They're about $1 for maybe 6 of them, so they're super cheap. What it is just a really sticky cloth that collects all the dust when you just rub it along the wood. Okay, so with the tack cloth, you just go ahead and rub that along, and it gets all the dust off. So I'm going to go ahead and do that along all sides and drawers of the dresser. Getting a little chilly outside, I'm going to come back inside. So another awesome way to tell if you've got good quality furniture is to look for this right here on the drawers. This is called dovetailing, and it just means that it's really good quality and the drawers aren't going to separate. Now that we're finished with our tack cloth, we are going to tape off the sides of the drawers so that I can get ready for painting. So the reason that I tape is so that the paint doesn't get where I don't want it to get. So I'm going to be painting this part of the drawers. I don't want to get the dovetailing painted, and I don't want to get the fronts of the drawers painted, so I'm going to put some tape on there to make that not happen. Alright, I got all the taping done, so they are ready to put some paint on there. So like I said, I was going to clean these up and then spray paint them gold. So I am going ahead and letting the hardware soak overnight while I go get some new spray paint. I'm just going to clean them up a little bit so that they are ready to put on nice and fresh and new on the drawers. Alright, I hopefully figured out a way that we can get this paint off of this hardware. I'm going to go ahead and boil it, kind of like I thought. And hopefully the heat will get this paint to scrub right off. We'll see. So with this method of getting the paint off of the hardware, it said that we needed to use an older pan because it could lead to stains. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this hardware in the boiling water. Again, I'm using an old pan so that I don't ruin any good pans. Alright, we're going to go ahead and test it out, see if we can get some paint scraped off. The hardware getting a little bubbly. That's ready. Alright, these are looking good. I'm gonna be leaving them in there to boil just a little bit longer, but that paint scraped right off. Looking good. Alright, I think these are ready. Go ahead and take out and let dry. And then we'll give them one last clean. Let's just go ahead and put them out here. I'm using these because they're super hot. Obviously, they've been boiling. They're so pretty. They're gonna be even more pretty, restored, painted gold again. Alright, it's time to spray these bad boys. Alright, it's time to paint the dresser. So today I am going to be using the Amulet series from the Chippy Barn. This is going to be my first time using it. I'm using the color Obsidian, which is a dark black color. I'm going to go ahead and shake it up a little bit. Make sure to get all mixed up. Open. Now I got a brand new paintbrush just for this because I'm so excited to try this paint. Just gonna go ahead and wipe this down one more time before I begin to paint. I like to pick away whether it's forward, whether it's side to side or up and down, and then stick with it. If it's a wooden piece, I try to go with the grain of the wood. So in this case, it is up and down. So when I get nice and even coats, a little bit of paint goes a long way, especially this new paint. Looks like I am going to need a second coat. I can already tell that because I see some of the wood shining through. However, it'll just be a quick touch-up coat. So, I'm not going to be using too much extra paint there. First coat's done, so we're going to let that dry, and then we're going to go move on to painting the drawers. So the reason why I chose to leave the fronts of the dresser the raw wood is because, again, the style of the dresser is mid-century modern, and the raw wood is part of that style. So this is something that I've never done before. It's something that I've been wanting to do. But leaving the fronts of the drawers, that raw wood really gives it some more texture, some different colorings. So I'm excited to see how it's going to turn out. I just finished painting the first coat on the drawers, so I'm going to check back over on the big dresser to see if it is dry and ready for coat number 2 touch-ups. And it looks to me like it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a second coat on there. Does not need much for a second coat. I always like to start on the sides and the front, and then the very last thing I do is the top. That way I can just make sure all the edges look good at the top. No paint is bunching up. I like this matte black. Matte means that there's a very flat finish. There's no shine to it when it dries. And then when I put the top coat on it, it's gonna have a little bit of a shine. It's called satin, which is not too shiny, just enough to give it a little flare. Finishing up the second coat of the drawers, and then we will let them dry. Second coat is all done, so now we let it dry and then we can seal it. It's always good to make sure that you check and make sure that you didn't miss any spots. So we're looking pretty good. I love this paint. This black is looking awesome. I always try to have specific brushes for each type of paint. So for the top coat, I'm actually going to be opening another new brush because it's another new top coat. Usually I do about 2 top coats, only on the top though. So the sides are gonna get less wear and tear. The top is gonna be a high traffic area. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that on there, another coat after the first one dries. The drawers are dry on the outside from the top coat, so now I'm going to go ahead and take the tape off from where we were protecting the raw wood. So we're just going to go ahead and take that right off. And if you remember, we taped so that we could continue to leave those dovetailing details out. So when you're doing it, you want to make sure to kind of go nice and slow. That way you don't rip any paint off. One down, 3 to go. Alright, let's go ahead and put this hardware on. It's nice and dry. Remember to always keep your hardware together. I like to use a drill to take them off and put them back on, because it goes much faster than if you were to just use a screwdriver. One of the things that really got me about this piece was the hardware. Just the unique shape of it. It was already gold, but it definitely needed to be refinished. I was able to take the paint off by boiling like we did. This shape, it being so unique, it's very eye-catching. The gold, the reason I chose the gold on it is because it complements the black very well, and gold and raw wood and black are very mid-century modern style. So one thing I really like to do after I've finished a piece, before I stage it, is to just go over, check, and make sure that there doesn't need to be any touch-ups. If there does need to be touch-ups, then I just go ahead and touch it up, reseal that part of the piece, and then it will be ready for staging. So again, since this is a mid-century modern style dresser, we want to use the mid-century modern style staging props. Same what you would do if you had a farmhouse decor. You would use something more rustic and so on. Just trying to build some layers into our staging using some things that have been thrifted. I've been trying to get better at this. Make sure the seam of your lampshade is in the back and not in the front, because definitely messed that up the other day. That's okay. We'll live and learn. Even for some more dramatic effect, it's fun to even light some candles. Gives it a little bit more depth. And again, just envisioning that it could be in their house as well. So now we take some more photos. Let's see what I've got. So just remember, when you're posting to Facebook Marketplace, they only allow you 10 photos, so you only need 10 good photos. So I'm gonna go get to editing. When you are posting to Facebook Marketplace, always remember to get the dimensions of your piece, because it's inevitable that they will ask you when they are interested. So 33. Okay. All right, so now that we've got that posted, let's kind of review some numbers of the dresser. So if you remember, I bought it for $45. It was solid wood. It is in really good condition, so $45 was a pretty decent price. Also, I had to factor in the wallpaper, okay? So the wallpaper ended up costing a little bit more than I wanted to. I paid $35 for that wallpaper. I've never done that to drawers before, so it's not something that is necessary. The reason I did that is because the insides of the drawers were a little bit yucky. I wanted to cover that up and make it nice for the next person who buys it. So we're all in at about $80. Now we wait. I listed it for $280, again, because it is a solid wood piece and it is a piece of furniture that is very in style right now. So it's been about a week and a half since I posted this dresser. I posted it at $280. I lowered it after nobody was inquiring about it to $200. So it's been at about $200 for a few days. So some things that I've learned is that, well, I already knew that I did a different piece than I normally did, a different style. I was testing out my market, which is sometimes good to do. Normally I stick with the modern style of the farmhouse because I know that sells well in my area, but I also wanted to step out of the box, try the mid-century modern. I'm gonna list it lower as needed, but for now I'm gonna keep it out there. I know that it's still a good piece. I just gotta wait for that right person to come along. And when I get this baby sold, I will definitely be updating the description for you guys, so please come back and check. Thanks again so much for watching this video. I hope you found some good tips and tricks. I want to remind you that we will be releasing videos on Mondays and Thursdays as of right now. Go ahead and subscribe. If you like this video, click on that like button, and we'll see you on the flip side.